I started listening to the radio a little more seriously, I guess, I don't know, 9 or 10. You know, songs started meaning something to me. You know, started gravitating towards certain artists. Actually, more probably by the time I was 11 or 12, now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm thinking of the year, because Elvis was already kind of big. So it'd be 57, 58 that I really kind of started with. I would have been 11 or 12. And I just really, you know, something about, first I just liked the music. It just kind of really spoke to me, and the people I liked at that time, like Chuck Berry was one of my big idols, and Little Richard, and Jerry Lee Lewis, and Fats Domino, like all the people of that era. And Elvis, but Elvis was already huge. You know, he was kind of already there. And I always seemed to gravitate towards the people that people didn't know as much or like as much, or for whatever reasons. And that just, I don't know, got more and more interested in listening, and listening led to getting a guitar, and I started playing. So that's kind of how it all evolved. My dad used to play guitar. I never really saw my dad play much because he didn't have a guitar here in Canada, like when we moved from Italy. But in Italy, apparently, he was, when he was 17, 18, kind of the local hotshot in our town. There were probably like 2 guys, so whatever, him and a couple other guys, you know, played around. And so he knew about guitar. And when I showed some interest, we went to Eaton's, I remember, and he bought me a Harmony Patrician. It was $50, which was a lot of money for my dad like back then. And I think my dad had mixed feelings about it like very, very soon, because he saw it as, well, this will be fun, and he wants to do it. And the more I got serious about it and stopped paying attention in school, I think he started ruining the day that he got me the guitar. But it just started evolving. I got the guitar first. You know, I got the guitar, and I guess somehow I thought I was just going to play itself. And when I realized it wasn't, I kind of got bored, like, oh, I just can't do this. It's kind of sat there for a few months, and then I met a few guys who played. One thing led to another, and I just started getting more and more serious about it. And all through school, you know, I started playing in bands, and I was always in bands. And by the time I was in towards the end of grade 11, I joined a band called Robbie Lane and the Disciples, which a very popular band around town. We played at all the school dances and all this stuff. And it was fun. It was, you know, we kind of dreamed about, boy, wouldn't it be nice to be on Dick Clark like Chuck? But somehow it never seemed possible. You know, it seemed like worlds away. Here we were in Toronto. Everybody that I liked in music was from somewhere in Louisiana or Mississippi or Memphis, so you just didn't connect the two things. So it was never like, this is what I want to do, or this is the only thing I want. I mean, I wanted to play and more, but it just seemed like that was another world. And I don't know, it just evolved from high school. While I was still in high school, I started playing with Ronnie Hawkins. And all of a sudden it was like Ronnie Hawkins was a guy I'd seen on TV on Dick Clark 3 years earlier, and now I was in his band. And it just seemed to be like, oh, I'm actually doing this, you know, like. And from that point on, I don't think I even thought about it. This is what I did, and it just seemed very natural and comfortable. And one thing always seemed to lead to something else. I was very lucky, like that way. And it's been happening ever since. I'm still very lucky. It's all these years have gone by, and this is all I've ever done. And I'm very fortunate. Once I was out of high school, there was never any doubt in my mind that this is what I'd be doing. I mean, I just never, I don't even want to say it was a conscious decision. It wasn't. I mean, the thought of doing like something else was never an issue or an option, or I never thought of it. This was it. I was going to play music. It seemed to come to me quick, but I don't know if that was because it came to me quick or because I was really spending a lot of time doing it. That's why I said probably both, you know, because I think if it does come to you and you're into it and you like it, then you do spend a lot of time at it. Of course, the more time you spend at anything, the better you're going to get at it. And the luck thing again, too, I think I was very fortunate that I met a lot of guys early on. I was always hanging out with older guys, and I met a lot of guys who I learned from and was around and just picked things up from, you know. So, like a lot of things in life, that's part of it too, you know. The luck of where you happen to be or the environment or who you happen to know or not know or meet or not meet. And the desire, I think you have to have. You got to have the desire to, I mean, when I was 14 or 15, 16, if anybody would call me and say, you know, hey, I hear you play guitar, and oh yeah, I play guitar too, and I mean, I'd be at their house in 2 minutes, you know, like, where do you live? Let me get on the streetcar, how do I get there? Show me something. You know, I was just so enthused about, if there were 3 chords, I wanted to know the 4th one, you know, and if as soon as they knew 4, someone said they knew 5, because that's how you learn it first. It's all kind of piecemeal. And, but I think, you know, it's not just me, it's anybody who's really into something, I think, you know, tends to want to spend time at it because they like doing it. I mean, when I was in high school, if you mentioned you played guitar, it probably got you kicked out of school. Now, you know, if you got a guidance counselor, will probably tell you being a rock star, quote unquote, is like a career option. You know, hey, your son's got nice hair and looks good. Yeah, maybe he could be a rock star. You know, I mean, this didn't exist when I was a kid. Music, and I kind of, one of the reasons I liked it, I think, it was very much on the fringe and the edge. Like you didn't fit in. I mean, all the losers, in the traditional sense, got into music because you didn't fit in anything else. I mean, when I was a kid, I was very shy. I used to stutter a lot. Like music was kind of a refuge for me. This was my own little club that I belonged to. And I think a lot of guys who got into bands felt the same way. They didn't fit into the other stuff. Now it's just like another thing. And I mean, it's good in some ways. Kids are a lot hipper to the business now. They know what's going on. And in some ways, it's kind of lost a lot of its charm. When I first heard guys like B.B. King and Freddie King and Albert King bending a note, I mean, it was just like electric to me. And I can think of those things like Freddie, Albert, and B.B. were probably my big influences when I started playing guitar. Because by the time I started playing guitar, Chuck was kind of already past in my head. You know, I mean, that was my formative being a kid just loving music. When I started playing, I played some Chuck Berry stuff, but I got into blues stuff like really quick. And the blues things, when I remember hearing those records and just hearing going bum, 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 bending a note, I was like, whoa, I mean, the sound, what is that? You know, I think everything I've ever done, I mean, blues is at the core of everything that I've done. I mean, it's gone a lot of different ways, but I mean, to me, I'm still kind of a blues guy who's kind of expanded in a lot of different areas. But emotionally, the stuff that always got me was that. Whether it was B.B. King or Ray Charles, because the Ray Charles was blues. I mean, the early Ray Charles stuff, like with gospel. That gospel and blues kind of became R&B. And so all those moments, you know, there's so many I could give you. And some are names like that, you know, and some are, you know, I get these obscure records. And I remember I had a record was obscure to me at the time because I didn't know who he was, by Johnny Guitar Watson, a 78 called I Know Someone Cares For Me. And this guitar thing came and it was just like, I just jumped every time I heard it. I wore the record out trying to figure it out. So those kind of things that something really grabs you emotionally and you're learning from it. Because to me, every time I would hear something I didn't know, it was like a whole other world like opening up again. You know, and it was like, it's like being off the planet almost. You know, it's like traveling in space. Every time I would hear these licks I wouldn't understand, it's like a new world. And I was just fascinated by it.